Malzberg.
The statistic that's cited about the country is about 77 cents on the dollar. And here at the White House, it's 88 cents on the dollar, right? So the White House is doing appreciably better than the country is more broadly. But we still have more work to do at the White House. There are a lot of ways to evaluate pay equity.
All right, folks, there you go. The White House trying to defend itself against the fact that they're still paying women less than men. Welcome to the Malzberg panel on this 4th of July Eve show. And joining us is our friend Rick Ungar. You know him, you love him, from SiriusXM, Steele Ungar. You can watch that Saturdays at 11 a.m. Eastern, by the way. And joining us from Forbes is Carrie Sheffield. And good to have both of you aboard. Let's talk about that if we can. And let's start with Carrie. And that is, you know, the White House, it came up again yesterday. Jay Carney tried to defend it once before, and you know, and told the truth that there are mitigating circumstances. It really isn't what it appears to be. There's all kinds of ingredients that go into this, so it's an inaccurate statistic. Yet the White House and the left still demagogues this issue as if it were a true issue. So the White House, it looks foolish defending itself.
Oh, absolutely. It's total doublespeak, and it's a talking point. It sounds great because it's a complex. The economy is complex. It's called the invisible hand. It's called the efficient market hypothesis. If a company could get away with paying 88 cents or 77 cents for every dollar, there would be no man ever working on this planet. It's called the market, and so it's just ridiculous. There are all kinds of variables that go into a salary, and the White House is finally now having to admit this.
And here's another man on this planet. He's sitting right there. Rick, what about that?
I'm really sorry, guys, but you're not going to get an argument out of me on this. I agree with you. Look, you know, a big part of being the president is setting the example. People see what you do, and it has to match what you say. You cannot, as president, go out there and make the argument, as this president has done, that there should be no distance between what a man gets paid and what a woman gets paid for the same job, and then in your own operation, have that happen. It's wrong. It was a mistake. It was a mistake from the start. They should have made sure that they staffed the White House in a way that all things were equal.
Should they drop the issue? Should they tell the Democrats to just forget about this?
No,
or are they gonna
I'm not going to drop it because they screwed up. I don't think there should be a difference, and I think, you know, I'm going to criticize the White House for being one of those that allows it to happen.
But Carrie, educate Rick here on why there is a difference.
Rick should know this. He worked in business.
There's all kinds of reasons.
It's called women tend to study the social sciences. They don't tend to go into business. They don't tend to go into computer science. They don't tend to go into the industries that pay more. They tend to leave the market to go home and have kids, which is great and natural. And sometimes they come back and sometimes they don't. And if they do come back, they generally get paid less because they left. So that's the market functioning in a natural way.
I got to tell you, I have been in business, and in my businesses and the businesses I ran, it didn't work that way. Women were paid exactly what a man was paid for doing the same job. In fact, I think we had more female employees than we had male employees. It just didn't work that way. If you did the same thing that the guy sitting next to you did, you know, if he had some seniority over you, I suppose he might get paid a little bit more because he was doing it longer and advanced a bit. But if you were there for the same number of years and did the same job, you were going to get paid the same.
All right, well, let's leave this to the White House then to figure out how to fix before they start talking about it again. Of course, they won't. The June jobs report out today because tomorrow's the 4th of July holiday, and they did it a day earlier. 288,000 jobs. The unemployment rate, you know, deceptively, in my view, drops to 6.1%. The fact of the matter is you have a record 92,120,000 people, 16 and over, not working, not looking. The labor force participation rate stays stagnant at 62.8%, which matches the lowest record set in 1978. And black unemployment, for those who are interested, and, you know, maybe Barack Obama would be interested in this, almost double the national rate at 10.7%. So as good as the numbers look, Rick, you know, people aren't out there celebrating and saying, wow, the economy is really great.
Well, it's a little too soon to do that. I mean, especially coming off of what we had learned about January, which was such a disaster. But look, there's no getting around it. This was very good news today. The projections were coming in at about 215,000, ended up being 288,000. Let's hope it doesn't get revised down. Let's hope, if anything, it gets revised up. There's been some other good signs out there. It's good news, but anybody who gets excited about good news based on 1 month is, kidding themselves. You have to wait.
And Carrie, it would be nice, I don't know if we'll ever see it here, they're touting the fact that this is a record number of jobs, over 200,000 created per month for a record number of months consecutively. But, there are economists out there who will tell you, and I speak to many of them, that, for there to be a real recovery, a Reagan-esque recovery, if you will, we need 350,000, 400,000 jobs a month, and we've never been anywhere near that under this president.
No, absolutely. And to be honest, Steve, I'm a little bit skeptical about what's going to happen because we've seen so many readjustments of these figures. So I wouldn't actually be surprised if, maybe later this month or next month they revise what happened. So just like they did for the first quarter. I mean, the economy contracted under Obama. It's Dodd-Frank. It's Obamacare. It's all these things that are constricting the flow of capital, that are restricting hiring right now.
We have to at least be honest about this. Yes, there are revisions, but as a matter of fact, every single monthly revision of last year was upwards. Absolutely true that the numbers in January got revised downwards a great deal, but you can't really say you would. In fact, you should be surprised if there's a downward revision because that's very much against the trend.
We'll see. And the other thing, Rick, is that as we were discussing, Casey Mulligan points out that there is a connection between unemployment and the incentive to work. So Congress took away the unemployment insurance because they said, you know what, this is actually incentivizing people to not get a job. Congress said we're going to let part of these elements expire, and now what do we see? We see more people getting into the workforce.
The problem with that is, and as I've said, there's always going to be a few bad apples where that may in fact apply. But the reality is the only way that you can draw that line logically is to show where there were all of these jobs that were open that they couldn't fill because people were getting unemployment and refused to step up to take those jobs. I don't think either of you would argue with the fact that that has not been the case. So the logic fails in that argument. And again, I'll say it, there's always a few bad apples who could have gone to work and didn't. But in the main, this has been a problem of no jobs for those people.
Well, I would probably agree with this, and maybe even Rick. When you have the number of people on disability trumping the number of people who are getting new jobs every month, there's a big problem there.
It's a big question mark
and we're
there.
becoming a dependent society, and it's not good. All right, we're coming back with Rick and Carrie and Rick, and me. The Malzberg panel will return. Don't go away.